most fun game, shall we say, on Gibraltar already today. So hopefully we'll get to add that to the list as Cloud9 take on Gale Force here. I don't think, maybe unlike Rogue, I don't think there's any obvious, oh my goodness, these guys are so good on this map, it's going to be so difficult to avoid a snowball. But Lijiang Tower, well, not entirely unsurprising, and I expect Cloud9 to be very strong there.
Yeah, all they really have to do is just more of the same. But Gale Force, who knows what we're going to be seeing out of them. Muma, I will call out as their main tank, as a guy who streams all the time. I've learned quite a lot about Reinhardt from watching his streams. He also plays a pretty mean Winston. So I know that XQC is kind of like the stream tank guy. But if you ever have some time to check out Muma, he's an excellent source of information as well. And he grinds, man. He plays hundreds of games every week. So Gale Force, I do expect some strong tank play, if nothing else. And oh yeah, Clockwork, also a rather recent addition to Gale Force, helped them get through the qualifiers. And Clockwork, you may recognize back from NRG in Korea days, but he's back in Force here with Gale Force.
And, you know, iconic McCree all the way back in the day. Clockwork, a very, very strong player. So looking forward to seeing how he performs here. Both teams with new-ish rosters. And it looks like we're about a minute away from getting started. So to recap for those of you who have just joined us, we are going to be starting off on Watchpoint Gibraltar, which was Gale Force Esports pick of map. The second map is Cloud9's pick, which will be Lijiang Tower, and if required, we'll be going to King's Row as the decider map between these teams. This is the second match in Group B that we're streaming here from Rivalcade in the Overwatch Rumble. Massive thanks to DX Racer and Razer, our main sponsors for the weekend. And after this, we will be going into Group C and D with Storm and Hurix.
All right, any moment will be underway. We've already seen a couple of great matches on Gibraltar, as you mentioned. Rogue actually ended up playing there twice and very nearly gave up a map to Rise Nation there. It was pretty exciting stuff. If you missed it, definitely check out the VODs. They should be available here on Twitch as well as Live the Battle YouTube later on. But for the matches that are not being streamed, we have tried our best to get some people recording those matches. So I hope that we're going to have some other games to watch once all is said and done today as well. But this one obviously should be pretty good. This is your last chance to go grab some snacks, refreshments, beverages, whatever you got to do, and settle in for hours and hours more of some great Overwatch. We're already about 3 hours in so far, and this will be the last BO3 for Jorisar and I to kick things off for the tournament, Gale Force versus Cloud9. And again, any moment, just waiting for a single player. I have to remind everyone all the time that production, we want the games to go as fast as possible. We're always here. We're always ready. If anything is ever held up, you know whose fault it is.
We're on the 2-minute timer before we start calling out the final player, right? That's the rule.
Yeah. The shame clock is running right now. But Cloud9,
exactly.
Cloud9 have obviously got, you know, warmed up in that first series, taking on Immortals and playing as hard as they did. They're definitely warm. I'm not sure how Gale Force, you know, if they were playing scrims before this or what, but they need to be definitely ready for some impact here, as Cloud9 are probably going to take it straight to them on Gibraltar.
It's going to be very interesting to see what Gale Force can bring to the table. Don't forget, of course, while Cloud9 were playing, Gale Force were also playing and warming up themselves, so it's not like they're coming into this fresh. Watchpoint Gibraltar can be quite snowbally at times, especially when you manage to get the momentum, and it's very difficult when teams don't set up defensively in the shuttle room and you start to see the payload go, whoa, where did that second checkpoint go? And we've seen that at least once earlier today. The last person is in the lobby now. We will be getting started very shortly. Can Cloud9 keep up the momentum that we saw in the previous series? This is the last best of 3 for Joshy and I, but don't fret, we will be back tomorrow, and I believe no fewer than 7 matches tomorrow are going to be streamed from the double elimination bracket as these guys fight for their share of $10,000 in the Rivalcade Overwatch Rumble. We're loaded into Gibraltar, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get this best of 3 underway.
All right, I'm just sending out one last tweet to let people know this is their last opportunity to check out Cloud9's new roster in action for the day, as after this BO3, we will be moving into Group C, as we mentioned before. So Cloud9 versus Gale Force. Get strapped in, folks. We're about to take off, and we've got Shrugger loading in the Genji already, showing kind of a mixed dive comp here on defense locked in, and on the offense, looks like they're probably going to wait until the very last moment, Cloud9, before showing off what they're going to actually run with. But so far we have seen a variety of looks actually on the various maps. Obviously a lot of that last series was on Control, so they stayed kind of locked in. But on Dorado we had a couple of switches across the board. Selly and Zephyr both at different times were playing Genji, for example, so you never know who's going to be on what. And Adam starting off with the Hanzo, most likely just going to launch a sonar arrow, sonic arrow, just to see where the Gale Force folks are set up. Muma's going to be starting out on Winston, not Reinhardt. That's important to note as well. And it's kind of a, I don't know how this defense is going to work out. They don't have any barriers here except for Winston's bubble, so it could be dangerous.
They do need to rely on getting those early picks in and making sure they're not just sat there sustaining. I agree. When you don't have the shields, you need to make it happen very early on in the team fight. So chances are things could end up getting explosive here. We'll find out. The swaps are coming on in now, and we see Shore4 is going to be on Widowmaker.
Well, at least for the doors opening, they're checking out this forward defensive spot, and he is actually going to grapple out of base as well, so they're going to stick with it. Selly is going to be starting out on that Genji, Zephyr on the Diva. Shore4 taking a couple of shots right now, unable to find anything. Actually gets deflected by Shrugger from a mile away. The headshot deflect from Shrugger. Great start for the defense here on Gale Force.
Very nicely done indeed. And Shore4 is going to be out of the fight very early on. Gale Force are going to be feeling pretty happy about that. Muma getting extremely low, though, as he jumps in on a sliver of health. He tries to revive himself, just about managing to get back in. Shrugger now getting taken out, though, as Gods leaps in and attempts to disrupt the backlines. Both teams really just going at it hammer and tongs, but on the ground are Gale Force at the moment, continuing to keep the payload moving.
It's interesting, they're really unable to contest the cart at that position because they have no barriers, which we mentioned earlier, so they're going to let it actually round the corner before they try to engage. Muma jumping directly onto Adam. They should be able to find that kill, but Banny also taking a lot of pressure here as the defensive Ana is going to go down in the end. Shore4 also getting taken out in that process, but defense reeling a little bit here as it seems Selly actually getting the bulk of the work done here for Cloud9. He's all the way up to a Dragon Blade, and Cloud9 are sitting right on the checkpoint. Gale Force need to contest as much as possible.
Muma doing a very good job of sustaining a lot of damage on the supports. He's looking for Lucio, can't quite get at him, but he's extremely low at the moment, and we should be, oh wow, very nice, leaping it off the back to keep everybody off the payload, and I think that should be enough to them to get into the shuttle room.
And as the defense hang on, they actually force Cloud9 back. Yeah, so 3 meters away is all they're going to get. It actually looked like they should have been able to get the job done, but some returning defenders just happened to stamp that out, and I guess the supports really weren't there because they were the first ones picked off, so Cloud9 gonna get jammed up just a little bit, but Exi back on the card here as Diva. Rolf is gonna trigger Transcendence. Shrugger already being eliminated here for Gale Force Esports, puts them on the back foot a little bit, and that Primal Rage there from Gods immediately getting the kill on Ana should be enough if they can ride this momentum, but Dragon Blade is out here for Selly. If they can't get it done with these 3 ults, they're not going to.
Muma bought an awful lot of time earlier, and he's trying to do so again with the Primal Rage, but unfortunately just too much damage and too few hit points to start things off. God's grabbing himself a double as well. Muma appropriately is the last person to fall. He bought so much time for his teammates to come back by the shuttle, but unfortunately he couldn't do that a second time. So going into the shuttle now, nobody really set up on top. Cloud9 having the momentum and
Banny, a little, you know, again, a very tiny play, but he does save his own life by hitting the sleep dart on an unsuspecting Genji. Banny was way out of position. He caught that early spawn and had to go rejoin his team. Genji was standing in between him and his team, but a sleep dart finished the job. Muma actually finding the first kill there. Shore4 and Adam both out of the fight means Gale Force are looking pretty solid. Boink is actually taking a lot of damage here on the defensive Lucio. He manages to skate out of there, and wow, Cloud9 actually battling back here, so it's still anyone's fight. Clockwork has moved over to the Tracer off of Soldier for the second stretch, and he's lighting them up before going down himself.
Staying alive is the name of the game right now. Gods with Primal Rage trying to scatter the rest of Gale Force Esports as they move onto the first floor and away from each other to avoid that swatting. They managed to do just that and come back onto the payload, but unfortunately the rest of Cloud9 are right there to go ahead and collapse onto them, and that double kill should ensure that their momentum keeps going.
Well, the card itself is being contested by Clockwork as he gets back into the action. Shrugger was just taken out, and now with Clockwork down, that's no DPS here left for the defensive team, and they have a nano boost they could drop on Muma to get some good contesting in, but Muma's actually branching off on his own to try and find the kill on Rolf. He triggers the Transcendence. Sound Barrier comes out now as well. And Selly has the Dragon Blade ready to go. Shrugger is actually going to get the Nano Boost before he pulls out the Blade. He finds the first kill on Adam. D.Va Explosion kills Shrugger, though. And deaths are happening on both sides. Cloud9 seem to be okay here as Shrugger's Pulse Bomb, Surefour's Pulse Bomb, actually takes out the D.Va. It seems C9 have the numbers. Muma's going to use that last second Primal Rage to try to contest as much as he can. But as he clears out, the checkpoint will be secured.
Yeah, that was all right, although I have to question whether there was a little bit of miscommunication there, because using both support ultimates at the same time seemed a little bit more than necessary on the part of Cloud9. They got the job done, though. The payload is at the second checkpoint, and they're pushing forward with gusto.
With gusto. They've got plenty of room to move here.
Additional gusto.
Selly's gusto has been depleted as he gets completely shut down there, but they pushed forward a little bit. We're unable to pen their enemies inside their spawn like Rogue did earlier today, so it's going to be Clockwork taking a dive there against Gods, going to fall, and Muma trying to keep that cart holding still while the rest of Gale Force Esports are trying to battle it out against Zephyr. Should be able to secure that kill on Baby D.Va, but Surefour another Pulse Bomb kill onto Banny slows things down for Gale Force. Cloud9 freeing things up now. Selly and Adam both getting on the board, and this is going to be the straightaway now here as Clockwork is the last person standing for Gale Force.
Wasn't going to last too long with the Orb of Discord on him anyway. And now we have the final stretch. Cloud9 at the moment performing as a unit. Gods taking a little bit of a nap before the final fight by the looks of things. And instantly getting the barrier down. A little bit of a split though. Boink only able to attack out with 3 people on the team to start off with. Clockwork gets the Nano Boost, looking to make the difference as Tracer. If he gets a couple of early kills, that will be excellent for them. Cloud9 doing a good job of disengaging and staying together. Crucially, D.Va absorbing an awful lot of damage for his teammates.
Gods goes down, so Cloud9 are actually without a tank, really. Zephyr is just working on the sidelines, trying to deal with Tracer at the moment. So Transcendence is going to get triggered long enough for Selly to find that kill. There's another one for Selly. Soldier doing a great job there. Zephyr, the XE Explosion gets 3, basically. Muma helping out just a little bit, but that's going to be Gale Force reclaiming the cart with under 2 minutes to go.
That was absolutely brilliantly played. Denied.exe as D.Va, maybe catching guys a little bit offside, using the bridge as a bit of a barrier, and the explosion really uncharacteristically catching several players off guard there. But 4 ultimates are now available on the side of Cloud9 for the re-engage. 1.5 minutes and probably 2 engagements remaining for them to try and push this payload home.
There's a Nano Boost and Primal Rage only for the defenders here. Cloud9 definitely have the advantage in that regard, but 80 seconds is not a ton of time. Sound Barrier and Tac Visor are both going to be committed right away, so if Gale Force can survive this initial push, they will have the advantage. However, Muma does go down before triggering Primal Rage. The Nano Boost was used by Banny as well, so XE losing his mech means that no more tanks here for the defense. Shrugger tries to find some kills here. Clockwork still doing his best to take out Rolf, but can't get the job done, and Cloud9 will continue moving the cart here as Shrugger goes down. They're basically free and clear. Muma with the Primal Rage is their last hope here for Gale Force.
Oh, and this looks like the Primal Rage. Can it buy enough time, actually? No! Boink! Immediately getting Pulse Bombed as he came out there, but XE in the D.Va mech will try and stop things. Luckily, a boop is going to mean that D.Va didn't even have to be killed for the first round to be complete.
All right, only 41 seconds for extra rounds is definitely not a ton of time to work with. So Gale Force, don't count them out, as we've seen a variety of different offenses here on Gibraltar, mostly having to do with where people spawn from one stage to the next. You really could just go straight from the first checkpoint all the way to the third stretch if your shuttle room is advantageous. So anything that could happen, Gale Force, of course, with Clockwork and Shrugger could go off at any time. XE was playing the D.Va earlier. He's actually locking in Soldier rather early. Of course, they do have some time to switch that around, but it would be interesting to see that kind of change up. And on the defense, it looks like they're going with triple tank plus Soldier on probably a recessed defense. They're not going to be too aggressive with this one without those flankers in play.
Exactly right. You don't have those initial picks coming off from the side, so it's very useful to keep the sustainability and make sure the DPS is where it counts behind your tanks that will keep the rest of the team alive. And you're right. I think, oh no, hang on. XE is going to be swapping it around again.
Yeah, I think it could be any number of heroes after that Sonic Arrow gets launched out. We don't really know what to expect. It could be D.Va, it could be a DPS. As they're running dive, you can essentially run Pharah, Soldier, or D.Va to run along with that. I've seen Zarya come out rarely. Just depends on the point in the situation, but I do expect to see either Pharah or Soldier for XE. And As we tick down, you can see Cloud9. Yeah, they're hanging out just kind of in the close area so they can get a look at their opponents, maybe get a pick before falling back. But in the end, I'm sure they're going to be bouncing backwards rather than forwards to try and address the cart. 15 seconds to go. Clockwork and Shrugger loaded in on their Tracer and Genji. Should be more the same for them. And if they can find a quick target to blow up like Rolf's Ana, could be a nice start for them.
Gale Force Esports coming out of the gates now. And let's take a look at the Sonic Arrow and what we are looking at here. Looks like he's managing to spot. Yes, we can see the tanks hiding in the corridor there as Xe swaps off onto Soldier 76. So we will see the Diva for Soldier swap off here on the part of Gale Force.
Well, that means the cart is just going to have the freedom to move all the way through Car Wash. Cloud9 staying on the high ground just to disallow Gale Force from doing the same. So they're probably just going to stay all grounded here. Actually, Xe and Shrugger up on the high ground still taking some long-range shots. That Helix Rocket sails past Roadhog, but the cart itself rolling up the ramp now. This is where Cloud9 generally is going to try to engage, and Surefour bouncing in there along with Gods and Zephyr trying to deal with any high ground threats. Surefour getting focused very quickly, though, falls to extremely low health, but has managed to stay alive from Rolf's Biotic Grenade and darts.
God spotting an excellent opportunity to jump in and take out Zenyatta, manages to do so and gets Tracer extremely low as well. Clockwork looking like he's having difficulty, and the Winston from Cloud9 is able to grab 2. He grabs Shrugger as well, so make that 3 for him in this engagement.
As the fight continues here, Shrugger goes down last. That's going to be a bit of a stagger here. 1 minute already burned off, and of course all the cart space that they've earned so far was pretty much unearned, as Cloud9 gave up a lot of that space intentionally. But as we are prepping for the next battle, Rolf will have a nano boost available for whoever wants it. Surefour could be a good target as his tac visor's almost prepared, and Xe's only at 29% himself.
Hiding out behind the crate there. Gods just being very patient alongside Zephyr, looking for opportunities to grab an early pick, but it looks like they're being collapsed at the same time here. Surefour trying to get those picks in with the tac visor. Helix Rocket actually is going to be enough to force the other team back, as Shrugger is the early casualty on that part.
Things are looking pretty bleak here for Gale Force as they lose Clockwork and Boink in basically one attack. Sully doubles up there as Roadhog, but 2 minutes, under 2 minutes now, it's going to be pretty rough for them. I think Cloud9 have really not given up any ground. I think maybe they've had 1 death so far on this defense, so Gale Force need to get it together. They've got a few ults to work with this time. It would feel better with the sound barrier, but they don't have the luxury at the moment, so they're going to push forward. I think honestly, their attempts at trying to blow up Rolf have not been successful, so we'll see what they choose to do this time.
All up via the high ground, forcing Diva back as well. Gods continuing to lie in wait as the rest of Gale Force now move on down into the server room and looking for this engagement that's favorable. Wow, ooh, actually potentially going around behind as Surefour grabs the high ground here, and we have a little bit of a multi-angle engagement. Gale Force are trying to collapse from all angles, but it's not possible. Double kill going their way, and Cloud9 will follow up with the tactical visor as well.
2 big problems with the route that Gale Force took. First, it takes a lot of time and they don't have any to work with. Second, Cloud9 saw it coming, so they had plenty of time to just shuffle around to the other side. So they actually come out on top once again. Xe getting taken out there late here for Gale Force, and the rest of Gale Force actually just trickling back toward the point now. They're trying to maintain that high ground advantage, but Gods and Zephyr working together as an excellent duo force them back down, and suddenly Gale Force are on the ropes. They've got 1 attempt here to try and break free and get this checkpoint, and they're facing a lot of ultimates to try and get it done.
The stagger on Muma kind of hurt as well. He's basically 10-15 seconds behind the rest of his team as he got picked off towards the end of that team fight. 30 seconds left remaining. This is going to be the fight that makes or breaks this push from Gale Force. Can they make it to point 1 and keep their Gibraltar hopes alive? Let's find out. They're coming down through the door on the low ground here, and oh, both sides actually with the ult from Lucio, so it's going to take a little while for the kills to start racking.
Just mass ults being released by both sides. Selly used the whole hog. Clockwork found a pulse bomb kill onto Rolf, and Gale Force for the first time actually had more kills than deaths in this fight. But as the fight lingers on, Zephyr still standing, finds the kill onto Xe, pops him out of suit, and gets the execution there. Banning goes down to Adam, and Cloud9 again make the best of a losing situation. Even the ult flying out gets the kill on Muma, and that'll clean things up. Overtime is triggered, so they just need to kill Boink, and that'll be that. Cloud9 take the first game here.
Very well played by Cloud9, holding point number 1 on Watch Point Gibraltar to go up 1-0 against Gale Force Esports. A little bit of a labored attacking round, it has to be said, but it doesn't matter if the other team can't score 3 points, of course. So 1-0 on the board for Cloud9.
All right, game number 2 is going to be Lijiang Tower, where Cloud9 actually 3-0'd Immortals just an hour ago. So if you're Gale Force right now, you're probably not feeling too hot about your chances. Of course, they're going to try their best here. Selly gets play of the match here for his excellent soldier. We've seen his tracking right up there with Defran or Grim Reality, I would say. What we've seen out of him so far has been pretty darn good.
And ended the highlight clip by taking a well-deserved nap. Can't complain about that. Very nicely played there. I mean, little bit of a frustration time for Gale Force in light of how well Cloud9 have done to date, I think, on Lijiang Tower. It's going to be very tricky considering they did manage to basically thump Immortals there before the amazing fight back.
I believe Exy and Rolf both were teammates on Method way back in the day when you and I were in London casting the Overwatch Open qualifiers. So they're actually
I
having.
can't quite remember off the top of my head.
Pretty sure Exy and Rolf are both a part of that, and then Rolf went to Cloud9 shortly after that. But Exy and Rolf are fighting each other here, former teammates here. Exy just said hi to Rolf and vice versa.
How have you been?
Little bit of storyline. That was a long time ago now. August feels like a year or more in pro Overwatch time with the amount that these rosters change. But we are taking just a short bio break here for the players. And once we get loaded up for game number 2, we'll see what comes out from both of these sides. Cloud9 dropping the first series against Immortals. This is a round-robin tournament, of course, so Cloud9 not out of it yet in this group stage. They have 3 other opponents here already with a nice lead on Gale Force, but Boink, Muma, Banny, Exy, Shrugger, and Clockwork, perhaps Control is their mode, even though they picked Gibraltar. Perhaps Control is where they'll come alive here in this series.
Man, if we actually get to see Gale Force take the map off of Cloud9 here, I think that's going to be pretty epic, especially based on what we saw earlier. That would be a great story to tell the guys on the stream as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Gale Force can bring to the table. I'm also slightly afraid based on what we saw earlier tonight, man.
Slightly afraid. Well, Gale Force, I mean, they did fight through the qualifier to get here earlier this week on Tuesday, along with a bunch of those other teams. We've already seen Rise Nation and CLG kind of get deflected by Rogue earlier in the day, but Gale Force, also one of those qualifying teams, could grab series off of anybody, but Cloud9 don't want it to be them. They were putting their foot down for sure in that first game on Gibraltar, but even though they didn't have the fastest completion time ever, the full hold on A was a pretty darn good look. And now we're going to go ahead and hop into Lijiang Tower. Change of modes here, back to Control. This is where they 3-0'd Immortals. So again, Gale Force definitely have their work cut out for them.
They certainly do. Last time around, Shore4 was an absolute god. And every pulse bomb hit something, and every pulse bomb was coming rather alarmingly quickly. So we'll see what he can do this time around. Adam, of course, was involved in the ever so slightly bloodthirsty Lucio battle the last time we were here as well. And Rolf, I believe, netted himself a couple of triple kills. So a lot of attacking damage potential coming out here from Cloud9. Let's see how Gale Force counters it.
I seem to have sparked some debate out in the chat about soldiers. Some people don't think Grim Reality is that good. Some people don't think Defran is that good. And surprise, some people don't think Selly is that good. Can't please everyone all the time, I guess. Sorry,
we can
soldiers.
talk Harry Hook instead. It'll be fine.
Yeah, Harry Hook and AKM also got brought up in the discussion. So everyone's got their favorites. I suppose that's fine. But they're all darn good soldiers, and you're wrong if you don't agree. So
Eska? Eska? Anyone want to talk about Eska?
Eska who? He's not in North America. He doesn't. All right, so doors open.
Started. Yep, here we
Shrugger's
go.
Actually on the Pharah. Shrugger on the Pharah is quite interesting here.
Well, maybe he's got some environmental damage potential coming in as well. We'll see what he does as he moves around the side, but instantly getting targeted though by Selly is going to make his life a little bit miserable to start off with.
As we kind of get underway, Muma was the first one to really almost get blown up, but he got out in time. Surefour then took the brunt of Gale Force's attacks, but Shrugger is going to be the first one eliminated. The Pharah, unfortunately, going the way of the Dodo. Banny's down as well. No res possible in this first fight, that's for sure, but Cloud9 do just grab the point easily after the first couple of casualties. They will secure that spot, and you've still got Zephyr actually up in the face of the spawn doors as D.Va just absorbing some of those rockets and stalling for time.
Gods being a little bit sneaky on top of the sign. They're looking for an opportunity to pop down against whoever happens to come up here. Barney almost has a Resurrect available on Mercy. Haven't seen too much of Mercy today, so we'll see what happens to the sustain. So many of the teams have been so good at keeping themselves alive and being very patient with their picks, so a Resurrect could make a big difference here in the right circumstances.
Rolf gets a long-range kill on Muma. Banning falls shortly after, so Gale Force again just getting shoved back, and they can't even take this fight outside of their spawn area at the moment. Zephyr and Gods actually just lying in wait as those tanks prepared for anything that comes out. Clockwork trying to sneak around, but he doesn't know Winston's right behind him, so he has to recall. Gods, nice move there to keep Tracer from trying to backcap or anything sneaky like that, but Rez is available. Clockwork has the Pulse Bomb loaded. This could be a good one for them. Surefour lobs the Pulse Bomb, gets another sticky. Muma goes down.
Just Muma down so far, though. Waiting to see when there's going to be a decent opportunity. Both support ultimates are available. That is the res coming out from Barney. And Boink goes down actually with Sound Barrier available. So they're going to have to do this without the second support ult. Gods with Primal Rage now leaping in and out, looking for Mercy. Actually, Barney getting caught a little bit offside there. And she's going to drop over the edge. Awkward stuff.
All right, it's going to be Banny getting smacked away. But Rez was actually committed there, and they still lost the fight, so that is definitely not a good sign for Gale Force. 80% now for Cloud9 with mass ults available. This is going to be a brutal one, and Shrugger on the Pharah still is kind of interesting. He has not built up a single barrage yet.
I was waiting for the Escalols. They're in now, Joshy. They're in.
There you go.
All right, we're gonna. The next engagement is starting with sound barriers coming in from both sides, so a lot of hit points in play here. Winston looking to get in the back lines, but again, the supports not that vulnerable to start things off, and Transcendence actually coming in right on top of actually a Diva ult. Shrugger managing to grab a double, and Barrage manages to get him a third as well. But where is the rest of the team on the point? Ooh, there they are.
Well, most of Cloud9 is dead, at least, and Gale Force finally showing up there. Shrugger actually getting the pocket to great effect this time, as he did finally get his barrage and let loose. Cloud9 crumpled away, and finally Gale Force Esports have established themselves on the point, but Cloud9 are in a position where one Pulse Bomb from Surefour could start things off on a nice note, and one more retake could win them the round. But as we're looking kind of for entry angles at this point, Cloud9's kind of all over the place, but Winston is going to take the initiative. Gods dives in against Clockwork and Muma. Is he going to go down? No, Mercy actually the first one focused. That's a great pickup for Cloud9 to get 3 more kills in the next 2 seconds. That's a wipe.
Northmore still with Pulse Bomb available as well to try and sticky anyone that tries to grab the point in the last second. Probably won't use it on Diva, just needs to get away from the explosion, but who is next? No one, by the looks of things, as Cloud9 grabs point number 1.
Surefour just pulse bombs himself in celebration at the end of the round. I just happened to be watching him stick that to a wall.
I was seeing that as well. Yeah.
Take a dirt nap. Yeah, that's pretty funny, but it's going to be 1-0 here. The night market under wraps for Cloud9. Back onto the garden level. Sometimes you do see the Pharah come out here, so Shrugger is going to stick with it, at least for the time being. Surefour also making the swap away from Tracer.
System check initiated.
Still plenty of time to lock in heroes, but it does look like we're going to see a little bit of different Pharah action here. Surefour is, well, a little bit of a favorite on Pharah, especially when Joshy's observing on Lijiang Tower, to be fair. And he is very deadly and effective on it. I am still looking at Selly and Zephyr, just because it's the first time we've seen them in competitive action here. And especially Zephyr on Diva and how we're planning on zoning out. The damage is going to be coming in from Gale Force Esports. So let's get into it. Almost a boop there.
Yeah, almost a boop onto Banny. I really thought he was going to fall off, but he managed to adjust himself. Gods and Boink are the first ones down. Instead, Banny falls shortly after. So no Mercy in play this time. He opted for the Zenyatta, and we're down to a 4v4 already very quickly here. It's mostly Cloud9 on the point itself, so Clockwork, Muma going to try to fight their way in. Muma bites the dust on the way, though, and it's going to be Cloud9 with the body count needed.
4 kills going the way now of Cloud9. They are absolutely stomping all over the point right now. We need to see a little bit of regrouping, I think, in terms of communication coming out from Gale Force. That felt a little panicky towards the end. I like that they're taking a couple of seconds here to regroup with the tank, possibly look for a new attack route. Shrugger looking for ways to flank in, and hopefully they'll be able to retake and keep this point interesting with Cloud9 being such a force on Lijiang Tower.
They're starting to get their ults generated. Rolf and Selly both pretty close to theirs, but Muma's going to dive all the way into the backline. That's a signal for the rest of Gale Force to come on in, and they all fall to about half health. Cloud9 still looking very good here. Banny's the first one to fall to Selly's tactical visor. He's running forward now, trying to find what he can, but Shrugger goes down, and the rest of Gale Force book it out of there and try to stay near their spawn, but that doesn't matter. Surefour and God's going to continue hunting Boink, and they come up with their prey.
God seems to be doing a really good job of waiting until Muma dives in on his Winston, assisting in killing the Winston, and then immediately counter diving to look for the support heroes without a defending Winston in play. I've seen him do that twice now against Muma, and it'll be interesting to see if Gale Force switch up their play in light of this.
Well, 65% and rising. The ult's still benefiting them here as Adam launches out the sound barrier here to try to counter whatever comes up from Gale Force. Gods and Selly find 2 kills so quickly. Shrugger cannot stay alive, and that's mostly just a credit to Cloud9 focusing very well. Shrugger is a very skilled Genji, but sometimes in these opening bouts when ults start flying, Genji can be a little bit fragile and unfortunately unable to help out the team on this one, but they do have their ults piled up now. Their last attempt coming in, they've got 4 ults to work with. Dragonblade and Visor need to find something here.
All right, this isn't just about winning the point. This is about maintaining hope at the moment. Gale Force have been completely shut out at this point so far. Oh, D.Va might be able to get killed. No, unfortunately not. And the objective does finally switch hands as Gale Force get a little bit of a word in edgeways. The 2 staggered kills off the back of that will ensure that they keep it for some amount of time. But Cloud9 now on 99%. Gale Force have a lot of work to do to keep it alive.
Wow, how brazen. The Gale Force guys actually push all the way to the spawn. Now they've backed up, of course, as Dive benefits from being able to act almost like a net. Once the attacking team comes in, you can just fall apart in different directions and sort of absorb the impact. But at this point, it's going to be 2 members of Cloud9 taking the hallway, the others going at the bridge side, and Banny on the Zenyatta going to be the first one focused down. Selly has tactical visor again, but this time he actually gets taken out by Xe long range. So nice to eliminate that threat, but Gale Force missing a healer still could be tough here.
Surefour having a lot of difficulty actually moving in. The moment anyone spots him by the looks of things, he gets collapsed on. So it's made a couple of small changes here from Gale Force, making things a little bit more difficult for Cloud9, but coming in over the top with Transcendence after the first couple of picks means that the foe will be able to switch over. Oh my goodness, Barney just getting a complete tracer to the face there en route to going 2-0 down in this best of 5 on Lijiang Tower.
Not looking too good for Gale Force. I don't know what's got to happen here, but the initial fights have not been going their way, as you lose your healer pretty often, as Banny not getting the help he needs to try to survive. Shrugger is just getting focused down very, very quickly every time. So it makes me think that, obviously I don't know how much they've practiced in any of these other compositions, but it makes me think that a triple tank actually might be dialed up here for the 3rd and final attempt. If you're running something over and over expecting different results, I believe they call that the definition of insanity, but they're going to stick with their guns for the most part here. Xe is going to load up the Zarya, which he did make a name for himself with back on Method last year. If he's been keeping it up, I expect to see some good stuff out of him, but Zephyr also going to switch over to Zarya, means we'll see some big Graviton surges one way or another.
Yep, Zarya, lots of fun with positioning, especially if you can get people on the edge of the stairs. At this point, there's just a lot of open space for you to go ahead and play around with. Zarya instantly getting discorded, actually, on the part of Cloud9, but the damage isn't forthcoming. Surefour will be able to get the first pick off, and that's onto Barney. Adam almost trolled me with Mercy, but did switch to Lucio quite literally at the last half. He goes very far down, and Selly is in danger of dying. He goes down to Clockwork and does a good job of flanking from behind. And now Rolf is going to be basically helping the team consolidate the point now as the rest of Gale Force is scattered.
Cloud9 have to be so thrilled to have Surefour on their team for these first fights, because when you've got no ultimates available and Surefour can just pump out the headshots, it's almost like having ults all the time. And he's just doing such a good job on the cleanup of the healers every time. Also dueling against Clockwork from time to time, usually comes out on top. Surefour, wise decision there, just bounces to the health pack rather than using his rewind so he can save it for the next fight. Clockwork still trying to outflank him, but Surefour is at the ready. He's even got the pulse bomb loaded up, and the rest of the team battling it out here in the forum. Looks like Cloud9 are going to back up just a little bit, but Gale Force don't have any ults to work with still.
Surefour grabbing Zenyatta, gets a sticky onto Xe as well, and Zarya is going to go down. 2 excellent early kills before he rejoins the team, not risking himself getting picked off as well. That was a beautiful pushback onto Gale Force. Oh no, Lucio unfortunately trying to hide until the rest of his team comes back out. That's not going to help at all. At least in his defense, he managed to make it back to spawn.
Well, Gale Force finally do have some ults. The Pulse Bomb and Dragon Blade at least are good to go, but Zephyr could counter that with a single Graviton Surge if Genji doesn't have his dash or Tracer doesn't have a rewind. So we'll have to see how it all kind of unfolds. You notice they are falling back to the point to try and bait them in. The Graviton Surge is going to have a better chance at catching multiple targets this way.
Oh, Shrugger nearly going down to shore 4 there at the start of that engagement. Clockwork getting an absolutely excellent Pulse Bomb to start things off on the support. Transcendence coming out to keep everyone alive as they go ahead and move in. It was 6v4, but it's now 4v5 in the other direction as Gods and Selly get kills on the board. The tanks from Cloud9 really coming into their own, and Selly grabbing himself a second one with that whole hog.
Graviton Surge did get countered by Transcendence, but everything else just melted apart as Selly popped his whole hog and got those kills. Surefour still standing as well is never a good thing here for Gale Force. Surefour almost up to another Pulse Bomb. He's been getting those stickies reliably, and with another one here, he could basically just pick and choose who he wants to eliminate. 97% means Gale Force are in their death throes here. Boink and Exy both get swept off the street as Gods nails that Earth Shatter. Overtime's triggered. Shrugger gets in there to keep it extended. Clockwork is nearby. Muma hops on the point as well. And the Pulse Bomb sticky catches Vanny on the way back from home.
And Clockwork, unfortunately, goes down, so he's not actually able to look for those flank kills in the back. They're getting stagger killed now. Overtime is ticking down. And, oh, this is going to be so difficult. And I don't, like, this is really just them death throws, unfortunately. 6v1 followed by 6v1 followed by 6v1. But finally, they close it out. A dominant 3-0 on Lijiang Tower sees Cloud9 taken.
Cloud9 definitely were warmed up against Immortals in that first series. They showed up with their A game here, and Shrugger, despite having a rough game, honestly, does come away with play of the match for that meaty barrage that he hit to take the point that one time. Nice direct hit there, but in the end, it's going to be Cloud9 now sitting at 1-1 in the group after dispatching Gale Force Esports. Gale Force sitting at 0-1. I'm going to find out if we have any more results, but actually nothing has really been reported over in our admin channel. So not really sure what else has been unfolding here for Group A and Group B, but that is going to be it for the casted portion of those groups. So Group A, again, we saw Rogue take out CLG and Rise Nation. They're sitting pretty at the top. Complexity and Complexity is kind of the fourth team in that group, and they actually did take out CLG as well. So that's an interesting group already. Group B, Cloud9 sitting at 1-1, Immortals 1-0, Gale Force 0-1. Tempo Storm is going to get into the mix now with 2 Easy playing on the roster. And Group C, which we will be heading into next, Jorisar and I are going to take a seat, but Storm, we all have J names here, Joe, Jake, John. Jake is actually our producer here, but Selfless versus LG Evil will be the first series for Storm and CT Herix, who are going to join us in just a few minutes.
Yeah, we don't want to get them mixed up too much. Jake plays Hearthstone, not Overwatch, but that's another story. We're going to be going into Group C in just a moment, guys. But Group B is certainly shaping up to be very interesting. Cloud9 going down to Immortals by a pretty narrow margin and certainly shaping themselves up to be second-place contenders in that group, unless, of course, Immortals slip up against one of the other teams. Always possible here. We've had some very exciting matches here on the Rivalcade Overwatch Rumble. That's going to be it from Joshy and I for now, as we hand over to Storm and Hurix, who will be with you after this commercial break. I think all really that remains for us to say today is thank you very much to Razor and DX Racer for helping us put this event on. We hope you guys have enjoyed the matches so far. Take the opportunity to grab a drink or grab yourself a little bit of food. We're probably going to go into a 4 or 5 minute break with some commercials and then get started in Groups C and D for the second half of the production tonight. So, Joshy, where can everyone find you before you come back tomorrow, of course?
Well, if you don't know, I've been casting Overwatch basically since closed beta. I'm a full-time streamer, so any follows and subscriptions that you could toss my way definitely help me keep doing this full-time. And of course, thanks to Rivalcade for having me as kind of a full-time installment for the weeklies and things like that, letting me get to cast pretty often. So any support you guys want to show me on Twitter or Twitch/AskJoshy would be greatly appreciated.
All right. And of course, I'm at Jorisar as well. If you want to check me out on Twitter, YouTube, all of the general social media, I'm casting not quite as much Overwatch as Joshy, but pretty much getting in whenever I can. And being in London, it's going to be a very interesting time zone for me tomorrow. But I cannot wait for the double elimination brackets in the knockout stages of this tournament. Right, we're going to take a quick break now, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching the Rivalcade Overwatch Rumble. Groups A and B are now broadly done, at least for the casted sections. And we're going to be going into Group C and D very shortly with Hurix and Storm. See you soon.
See you guys.